In today's video, we're going to be talking about one organ and its tissue types. Today, we're going to be talking about the stomach and its key parts and how many tissues does it have, how they work, so the organ can work. So today, we're going to be looking at this. So starting with the key parts that the stomach has, it's a fundus, cardia, lesser curvature, pyloric canal, pylorus, pyloric antrum, body, greater curvature, and esophagus. So these are the key parts of the organ, which is the stomach, and we're gonna look and see how they work. Starting off with the fundus. So the fundus is basically just gonna store any gases that is produced by this and by its digestion. So this is just basically just containing the gases. Next, we have the cardia, which is going to help to contain the cardiac sphincter, which is like a thin ring of muscle that's going to help to prevent the stomach to content from going back up into the esophagus. Next, we have the lesser curvature, which is going to give attachment to the two layers of the ligaments. So they're going to attach. Next, for the function of the pyloric canal is basically just going to allow the food to pass from the stomach to the top of the small intestines. So it's just letting the food pass through it. Next, we have the pylorus, which is just basically like a valve that is opening and closes during digestion. So you're going to be opening and closing whenever digestion happens. We have the same thing with the pylorus antrum, which is going to be doing the same thing. It's going to be opening and closing whenever digestion happens. Next, we have the body, which is when we are receiving the food, it's going to contract and it's going to produce acids, and that is going to help the food to break down. Here we have the curvature now, which is gonna help the stomach to get bigger whenever it's filled with food. So it's just gonna be getting bigger and bigger whenever you get food, which is so it can have more space. How the esophagus works is that it's gonna be squishing the muscles from top to bottom, and then this is gonna push the food and liquids so they can go down more easily. Moving on to this right side, it's actually just explaining what the stomach is. So it's a J-shaped organ that is gonna be digesting the food. So it's gonna be breaking down the food so it can go more faster through the intestines. Moving on to the next slide, it's talking about a specific function of this organ called stomach. So its main function is to create digestive juices that are going to break down the food, and it's also gonna hold the food for us. In this next slide, we can see that the stomach has 5 different functions. Here are the functions listed. So starting off with the storage of the food, moving on to the breakdown of the food particles. Then we have the disruption of the chemical compounds in the food material with the help of the acid that it has. Then we have the digestion of the food. And finally, we have it's going to produce acid that's going to kill bacteria. Now, in this almost second to last slide, is going to be talking about what tissues put the stomach together. So we're going to be looking at those. Here we can see that the stomach has 4 layers that make up the stomach's wall. So we have the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, and the serosa. In this final slide, you can see a picture here. And in the picture, you can see that we have the 4 specific tissues that I just mentioned to you, which are the submucosa, mucosa, serosa, and muscularis. And we can also see here some other parts that it has, just like the glands and submucosa, the lumen, the lymphatic tissue, and that kind of stuff. But today we're going to be focusing on the first 4 tissues that it has, the main tissues, which I already mentioned to you. So I'm now explaining what they do and that kind of stuff. Starting off with the submucosa, it's just basically a layer of tissue which is under the mucosa. But it's also going to support with specialized functions, which is giving nutrients, fluids, and electrolyte absorption, which is going to be carrying blood cells. For the mucosa, it's just basically just going to be protecting us from abrasive effects in our body's own stomach, acids that it has, and also it's gonna protect us from urination too. The serosa is the outermost layer of the stomach, which consists of a thin layer of connective tissues that is gonna help the stomach to stay in place. And finally, the muscularis. The muscularis has a layer that consists of smooth muscle. Also, when muscle contraction occurs, it's gonna help mix and churn the food. So in today's video, I talk about the different tissues that the stomach has and how they work together. I really hope you learned something from it.